Hi, today we're talking about the top 5 not so obvious uses for the Oculus Quest. And one of the main reasons it has to be the Quest is because it is a wireless 6 degrees of freedom standalone device. You don't have to buy a £1,000 PC to use it. So that is exactly why it has to be the Oculus Quest. But anyway, let's get on with the top 5 reasons. So, kicking it off at number 5. Number 5 is, I've put 2 things at number 5, education and business. Now imagine for education, your kids are at school and they have like a VR class. And in the future, I think that there won't even be schools. People will just put VR headsets on and go to a virtual school. But in the interim period, there'll be a phase where kids go to school and there'll be little VR classes and the people will put the goggles on, and all of a sudden the students and the teacher will appear in a big auditorium looking down to whatever the subject matter is. They could be talking about dinosaurs, and a dinosaur could appear in the middle of the auditorium as they're like in little pods all around, looking down and looking at each other and interacting and talking when they need to talk. And they'll be looking down at the dinosaur, and then the teacher could just click a button and they'll actually be in prehistoric Earth playing with the dinosaurs. How cool would that be? How immersive and educationally beneficial would that be? I think that's a really good use case. Anyway, let's go on to the second part of number 5, which is business. Imagine a time when people have to meet for businesses. I know we've got Skype and stuff like this, but imagine like a 3D model of a business concept. Imagine all the business people put the virtual reality goggles on and they're all in the auditorium and they're all looking down at a 3D model of a business concept, like a new building or a new design, and they're all just looking at this. That wouldn't be possible or very expensive to recreate in the real world. Imagine that. You could save time and money from meeting. You wouldn't have to have a venue. People could do it from home. That is another use for VR in the future. But anyway, that's number 5 covered now. Now we'll go on to number 4. As you may or may not know, there has been a rise in obesity within the human race within the last 20 or 30 years. It's all because all the advertising and everything else, all the technology that's making it easier for us to do stuff. Anyway, imagine you've got a son or a daughter and they're always on the Xbox, just sitting there getting loads of exercise for the fingers and the thumbs, but they're not getting enough exercise for the whole body. Now with the VR headset, you get games like Beat Saber, and in Beat Saber you're up there hitting left, right and centre, jumping around. That is a workout. You've got the boxing game, Tyson's Fury. That is amazing. That gets kids off their asses, off their playing Fortnite. They're up there, they're playing with the Oculus Quest in a VR world. Just make sure you just like move the cat out of the way or the dog. But yeah, that's it. So yeah, calories burnt with the Oculus Quest will by far outweigh calories burnt with the Xbox. But I do believe in the future VR will also take over consoles completely, or the console market will just evolve into VR. But that's for another future video. Anyway, straight into number 3. Creativity. 3D artists. Have you ever seen the apps? Look behind me. Look at this. People can make stuff in 3D, and fair enough, it might be a bit of a niche case at the moment, but as VR evolves, it's going to become more and more normal for people to make stuff in VR. And people say, fair enough, you can't pick it up and touch it in the real world, but you can imagine inviting all your friends around, all put their VR headsets on, and they all see the creation you've made in VR. Also, not just creativity. Remember CAD? People who design buildings and stuff like that used it. 3D. Imagine 3D CAD in a virtual world. Imagine people designing buildings, designing spaces for humans, 3D printing stuff of the virtual design. You've got to think outside the box. VR is going to be the future. Anyway, we're getting close to number 1 now, and number 1's pretty close to my heart, to be honest. So make sure you stick around for that. Number 2. Helping people with disabilities, physical disabilities, people who find it hard to go outside, people who they can't really get around that well. they can experience a greater level of freedom in the VR world when they're put on their VR headset and they go on things like open world games. There's meditation, like appear in different places in nature, go to the cinema, all hassle free in VR. There's no need to worry about ramps for your wheelchair. Just think, yeah, straight in there. You can go straight in and watch that. Also, people who suffer with mental health issues, agoraphobia, imagine this, VR headset on, they can slowly get used to interacting with other people in VR, and maybe it will help them go up and help them to go outside and help them battle their mental illness, especially with things like the meditation apps and all the different things like Rec Room and the big screen for the cinema and interactive things like that. That could be really helpful for people with mental health issues. So that's another use case. Also, older people who are stuck at home, they find it hard to move, but especially in the 90s or 80s and 90s, they might get a bit of future shock when they put their, because they may have never even experienced virtual reality before. But some more people might be able to handle it. Some of them are quite tech savvy. So, And another one that no one probably even thinks about. What about people who work in places where they can't go out? What about sailors who are on ships or boats and they can't get outside? They're in the sea for days on end. They can just put on their virtual reality headset and appear on a desert island. Free shore leave. Exactly. Anyway, let's go on to number 1 now. Very close to my heart is number 1. Single parents. 50% of marriages, unfortunately, end in divorce, which normally ends up with the parent, normally the man, the dad, living somewhere else, separate from the mother and the children. Now, this might be a little bit hard to do, but if you can afford to buy 2 VR headsets, and you can do that using my link in the description, by the way, I would really appreciate that, because that would help me out no end. It doesn't cost you any more. As long as you use my Amazon link, you'll be helping me out and helping me live my dream, which is entertainment and creativity online. That is what I want. That's what I love to do. But anyway, let's go back to it. Single parents. Imagine the heartbreak and pain. I mean, I've been a single parent since 2008, so I'm pretty much used to. I'm a veteran single parent. I see my kids every couple of weeks, so I live quite far away for work and stuff like that. But now, instead of every couple of weeks, I can see them in the VR world. We can go on adventures together in Rec Room. We can meet up in the cinema. I can take them to cinema, all without having to do a 180-mile round trip in VR. I'll still see them in real life, but it'll just be enhanced by the Oculus Quest. No need for wires, no need for mobile phones, no need for expensive PCs. Oculus Quest is the way ahead. So, that was my number 1 anyway. Oh, God, that was a bit of a long one, wasn't it? Well, thank you very much for watching. Please expect loads more VR content. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already. This is the opportunity. You've got this far. The little red subscribe button down below. Just click that. Shoot the little bell. And leave a comment. What do you think about? Have you got a personal number 1 reason for the Oculus Quest that's as close to your heart? Have you got a top 5 reasons you could think of, or anything else? Put that in the comments. Let's start a discussion. Please look forward to more VR content, because I think it's going to be amazing. The Oculus Quest is going to be amazing. So always remember, stay 100% real, even in VR, and stay 100% Jim. See you later.